Here we go.
Christopher Nolan, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the best working directors right now, with only 12 films under his belt. And all of these films are of varying genres, varying qualities, but they're all definitive great films. With the Odyssey set to release in a few months, I decided that maybe it's time to look back and decide Nolan's best, his worst, and everything in between. Welcome everyone. This is the Milestoner, and today we are looking at 12 Nolan films, and I'll be ranking them from worst to best. Now keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion, so obviously get ready for some really hot takes. And also, I'll obviously be discussing for spoilers, so you are warned.
That part is a little dramatic.
Coming in last place, for me, is Nolan's first film, Following. Now, even though this is in last place, it's still an engaging watch. Completely shot in black and white, the film tells the story of a young writer who gets pulled into a world of crime while looking for inspiration for his first novel. It's quite an interesting film, and even though technically and thematically it's Nolan's weakest work, it's still fun to see the beginnings of Nolan as a director and the heights that he would go on to reach. Next, I have Tenet. Now, this is one of his more recent works, and it's actually quite a fascinating watch. It deals with the concepts of time inversion, war, and global extinction. So it's quite a dense film and requires more than one watch to completely grasp all the aspects of the film. Now, while it is quite an ambitious film and marvelous on a technical scale, the plot is too convoluted and muddled, and the characters aren't interesting enough to follow for 3 hours. I mean, the main character is just called the protagonist. He isn't even given a name for the entirety of the film. Coming in at number 10 is Insomnia. Now, this is quite a unique film because it feels the least Nolan-like. It follows a police detective who ends up in a remote Alaskan town while tracking a serial killer. Unlike other Nolan films, Insomnia doesn't lean heavily into technical spectacle, and instead it focuses on psychological tension. However, the slower pacing does result in a few dull stretches, so I'm not that inclined to watch this film compared to the others. My next pick is going to be quite a controversial one, The Dark Knight Rises. This film to me had all the right elements, but completely fumbled in execution. It feels like it's going in circles. Bruce comes out of retirement, becomes Batman again, has his back broken by Bane, trains to become Batman again, then fakes his death and retires once more. Now the performances are great here, yes, with the standouts being Christian Bale and Tom Hardy, and the film certainly has the epic feel to it throughout, especially with everything Bane does, which is heavily magnified by the incredible score by Hans Zimmer. However, the writing ends up hampering the ultimate product. It doesn't seem interesting enough to keep you hooked throughout the runtime. Also, this death just feels like a joke. Next up, Dunkirk. Nolan's take on a historical war film. Now, I am not usually a fan of war movies, but something about the way this one is constructed kept me hooked throughout. The cinematography is gorgeous, and the pacing is really impressive, especially considering the film jumps between 3 different time points in the story. That said, it can occasionally feel meandering since we are mostly following soldiers without much character depth. Number 7, I have yet another controversial pick, and you guys are definitely going to kill me for this one. Interstellar. Now, to be fair, the first 2/3 of the film are some of Nolan's best work. The visuals are extraordinary, and the character writing is on point. The scene where Cooper watches his children's recordings is emotionally devastating, and the docking scene always gets me on the edge of my seat. However, the third act is where the film loses me. Cooper entering the black hole and discovering a higher dimension where he manipulates time through the power of love. It just feels like too much all at once, and it also brings up questions regarding the ultimate logic of it all. I mean, the resolution, it just seems too far-fetched compared to the grounded feel of the rest of the film. In number 6, I have Batman Begins. This, in my opinion, is one of the best superhero origin stories. We follow Bruce's journey in a non-linear structure, but it effectively builds his transformation into Batman. This scene always gives me chills.
What the hell are you? I'm Batman.
Christian Bale gives an incredible performance in my opinion. His best in the entire trilogy. My only nitpicks come in the latter half of the film, where it does feel like there is a second film tacked onto the Batman origin story. The Scarecrow stuff, yes, it is interesting, but I also feel this is where the story starts losing some of its steam. And I also have never really bought into Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. His plan leans towards comic book theatrics more than the grounded tone established earlier, so it feels completely out of place. And now we enter into the top 5 with Oppenheimer. This is the newest film on the list and the only one in Nolan's filmography which is driven almost entirely by dialogue and performance rather than any action. And yet, it kept me hooked straight for 3 hours. Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. carry this film with their powerhouse performances, supported by an excellent ensemble. The visuals are also quite impressive considering most of it is done practically. The film is a character study of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the man who built the atomic bomb, and it excels at that task. I mean, the film ended up winning an Oscar, so I'm not that surprised. In 4th place is The Prestige. This is a film I've grown to love the more I rewatch it. The story of two rival magicians trying to be better than the other. The film feels a lot like a Shakespearean tragedy. At the center of it are Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, who give such great performances that really humanize these two characters who are completely consumed by obsession and pride. This film also has one of my favorite twist endings of all time, and that just adds more details into the story every time I go back to it. Now, coming into my top 3, I have Memento. This was Nolan's second film after Following, and what makes it stand out is the way it is made. The entire story is told in reverse order, as we follow Leonard Shelby, who suffers from androgate amnesia and is trying to uncover who was responsible for his wife's murder. We start the film at the end of the story, and then we gradually go back to the beginning alongside him, and that's what is really fascinating about the film. We slowly uncover the whole story alongside Leonard and understand the various secrets that his psyche holds. It is a film that has several layers to it, and it is one of the most detailed films in Nolan's filmography. Now for my top 2, I always go back and forth between these two films, but for today I will have to place Inception in second place. At the core of it, the story is all about a heist, yes, but it is the setting which makes it interesting. Dreams. The film follows Cobb, a professional thief who assembles a team to enter a billionaire's dreams and implant an idea in his head. That plot alone is quite fascinating. The sci-fi elements are jaw-dropping, and it is a comparatively simple plot to follow considering that it is dealing with complex concepts such as entering people's dreams. At the core of it all, this is a very human story. It dives into the themes of guilt and letting go, especially when it comes to Cobb and his relationship with his late wife Mal. And that ending, it remains one of the most iconic in modern cinema. But coming in first place is The Dark Knight. I would say this is Nolan's magnum opus. The film follows Batman, who rises as a hero in Gotham, only for his ideas to be challenged by the emergence of the Joker, who plans to unleash anarchy in Gotham. This film is completely carried by Heath Ledger's brilliant performance as the Joker. He's chilling, he's mesmerizing, and most of all, he keeps you hooked to the screen throughout. The rest of the cast is also great in this film. Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman. But I want to particularly point out Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, a district attorney who wants to help Gotham, but is slowly pulled down by the darkness of the Joker. The film deals extensively with the themes of chaos versus order, moral ambiguity, and the burden of being a hero. And it is one of the, if not the, best superhero films of all time. But this was just my list. Do tell me what your rankings would be, and if you agree or disagree with my picks. With the Odyssey coming out, I have huge expectations from it. It's one of my most anticipated films of the year, and I hope it can live up to the rest of his filmography. Well, do tell me your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, do like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos like this.